Hello and welcome to Crime Watch. I'm Jane Cameron with Sergeant Mike Lovechick at the wheel. It's raining outside. Cameras and water do not get along, but we're going to show you a whole bunch of stuff today anyway because the rain won't kill us. So right now we're going out on a pretty hot call. I noticed the dispatcher put out a tone.
Yeah, it's actually a domestic violence in progress, supposedly, and it sounds like there's a male and a female in one of our residential tracts that got into a physical altercation, and they're in the middle of the streets right now. So we've got officers rolling that way as we speak. So we're going to see if we can maybe be able to catch up to them here as we get there.
Just a reminder for maybe some of you who don't watch the show all the time, but we are in a marked unit. Sergeant Lovechick is uniformed. And he is an additional unit, but we are leaving it for the crew that's on duty right now to handle the calls. What do officers think when they're going on a domestic violence dispute?
Well, I'll tell you this much. These types of calls are the most, it's where the things can go worst very easily within just a few minutes of time. And so they're very susceptible to people get their emotions going overboard and what have you. But it's just one of those calls where we're going to try to keep the peace between these people. And if there was a crime committed, we'll take action on it. But they're real delicate calls to handle.
What types of situations have happened? Not necessarily in Buena Park, but what risks have officers had when they get in situations like this?
Well, like I said, everyone's tensions are high in these types of things, in these types of calls. You don't know what sparked it. You don't know who's involved. You don't know what they're arguing about. You don't know if there's weapons involved. There have been times, and I've been on calls like this, where we'll get on scene and we'll say the female has gotten beat up, and then when we try to take the husband into custody for beating her up, she jumps into the fray and starts to attack us basically. And so it's just one of those things where it's just so hard to get involved with and and be impartial and all that. But it's still one of the most horrible crimes that we see is that when people get beat up like that. And then also the other half of that is when children are involved. That is really, really difficult. Okay, we're pulling up to the scene right now, and it looks like other officers are on scene as well. And I think what we're going to do is probably just kind of lay back here because I heard something about that the male half was possibly on foot. So I think we're going to try to maybe just see if he comes out this way or not. As you can see, I think Mark is filming down the other side there. The officers are pulling up to the area. What they'll do is make contact with whoever is left on the scene. And then what they'll do is they'll radio information as to what if there's a suspect or the other half of it in the area or not. So now there's a third officer that just pulled into here, so they're going to go up and make contact. Looking at the call comments, it sounds like the male half may have driven away, possibly in a white vehicle. So it looks like he was probably seen northbound on this street right here. So it looks like there's probably other officers that are in the area as well too, looking for that particular car. But obviously, we need to talk to the people who are here first and find out exactly what happened.
So we're driving away. What's going on?
Yeah, there was quite a few officers that came to the scene, and they're dealing with apparently the female half of the incident. We're just kind of cruising around here right now looking for a white car, but as you can tell, we're on the main street already, and there's all kinds of cars running around here. But we know who the guy is, so when and if the officers need to talk to him about what happened, they'll obviously know who to go see and who to talk to. Now, as far as what exactly happened at that particular incident, I didn't hear any further information on it. Paramedics weren't called, so that tells me that it might not have been physical per se. I mean, not to say that it wasn't, but it sounds like they are investigating it still. It could have been a verbal argument too. And it's not against the law to verbally argue with your significant other. But obviously, once you start laying hands on people, then it becomes an issue.
If there's any risk for the female half, are there resources that she has? Like maybe she shouldn't stay at her house. Is there options for her?
Yeah, absolutely. Our officers, if there is a true victim of a domestic violence, be it the husband or the wife, I mean, it can go either way. The officers always provide any types of information and types of resources for victims of domestic violence. And if there's a need to be able to have to go get family members or something like that to come pick them up or to protect them, they can also issue protective orders right then and there, depending on the severity of the situation. So there's a variety of things that the officers can do at a scene of a domestic violence. I'll just back in if you guys want to.
Obviously, no one was hurt in this small accident that ended up in the parking lot.
Right. Now, fortunately, for this particular situation, nobody was hurt. There was a couple of small kids in the back of the car that got rear-ended, but again, like you said, fortunately, nobody was hurt in it, and they're in the process of exchanging information now as they speak.
A lot of things like this happen during rainy weather, right?
Well, yes. As soon as the ground starts getting slick, then, of course, the people forget to slow down, and they forget that the roadway is a lot slicker.
They tailgate.
Well, people, that happens anyway, regardless. But this was the first rain that we've had in quite a long time. So what happens is that the oils in the ground get stirred up, and it's actually extra slick because it's the first rain after in quite a while. So that adds in and of itself an extra headache, I guess, when it comes down to the road conditions. Now, again, it's just so important to remember that when you're driving in the rain, that you leave extra room and you slow down. You leave, like I said, extra room in between the cars. It's just so important because people don't realize it, and then all of a sudden they try to stop, and boom, they're sliding right back into somebody.
There are some streets too that are flooded, aren't there?
Yeah, matter of fact, well, we were trying to get to one here when another call came out, but what happened was that the right side of the road was completely flooded. The water came down at such a rapid pace that the runoff couldn't get into the drains fast enough. So it created a situation where there was a flooding on the side of the road. So what happened is that our public works guys had to come out and set cones up to kind of basically shut off that part of that lane or part of the throughway there, simply because there was just there was too much water.
So what happens when someone when they hit those areas of flooding?
Well, a phenomenon called hydroplaning could happen. That means where you're basically riding on water without your tires touching the ground, so you have absolutely no control of your steering wheel. So now that usually happens when you're driving on a flat road, but you could still lose control of your car hitting a big puddle of water like that, just because of the fact that you're driving fast and all of a sudden you hit this water, and a lot of times you will veer into the curb like that, and so it's quite dangerous. That's why you always got to pay attention to what's ahead of you rather than just driving along and not thinking about what's further up ahead.
And slowing down a little bit when it's raining.
And slow down when it's raining, absolutely.
You know, we have the holiday season coming up, and it so disappoints me to read all these different situations where people become victims of crime because they leave something alone, they unlock or don't lock something, or they're not paying attention when they shop.
Right, exactly, and that's why we're here in the mall parking lot here, and we're kind of just we did some patrol checks and drove around a little bit, and it's the height of the shopping season. So what happens is that a lot of people will be going shopping, and then they will come out to their car, put their packages in the car, and then head back in to do more shopping. But
Bad.
yeah, you know, I mean, it's not advisable to put your stuff into the car where people can see it, so then they can break into it. So that's the one reason why we always encourage that if you're going to go shopping. Obviously, don't leave your valuables. Don't leave them exposed. If you're going to put them in a trunk, that's fine. One thing that we had suggested was that if you're going to put your car or put your goods in your trunk, if a bad guy's looking at you and says, "Okay, your stuff's in his trunk," okay, well now he's going to walk away. All I got to do is break into the car and get into the trunk. If you can, drive off and park in another portion of the mall. I mean, if you have the prime parking spot up in front, it's one thing, but it's just another little way to avoid becoming a victim.
How about making sure you keep your purse next to you? I see women who are shopping and they're halfway down the aisle and their purse is sitting in their grocery cart unattended.
Right, absolutely. Matter of fact, we have received reports of women getting their purses stolen just because they'll have it in the cart and then they'll turn away just for a minute and then they come back and the purse is gone. So, yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. It's so important to make sure that you be aware. First of all, be aware of your surroundings, and also keep your purse on you, or at least keep the cart right in front of you to where you have control over your purse.
How about the awesome arrest that Buena Park did about the porch pirate?
Well, you know, I'm going to have to give credit, though, to where credit is due. It was actually Huntington Beach Police Department that was able to catch this guy. However, through the networking of our burglary detectives, they were able to connect him with at least 3 of our porch theft investigations that we have. So
Now, a porch theft is when you get a delivery, like from Amazon, and somebody takes it off your porch before you do.
yeah, we've talked about this in the past. You know, where and it's during the holiday season. Obviously, there's going to be a lot more deliveries and a lot more packages being sent,
And a lot more thefts.
and well, yeah, it does go up. But you know, as far as those statistics are concerned, I don't know exactly what the increase is, but it's just the potential of it is going up. And then of course, we want people to get their packages, so we encourage them to take some extra special measures to be able to make sure that they get their packages.
Well, and people have those different recording devices on their porch that will catch pictures, but there's no guarantee, even if you get a great picture of whoever is taking it, that person's going to be found or that you're going to get your stuff back.
Right, but I will say this though, that that last arrest that we just talked about, that was the bad guy was connected to the thefts simply because of the porch cameras. So that was really good. But again, like I said, it's if you can prevent it by perhaps maybe being home when packages are being delivered. That's one possibility. Another possibility is that if you could have it delivered to a neighbor's address or a relative's address that you know is going to be home. The third option on that one is to prevent those types of thefts is to have packages held at the post office, and then you just go pick them up yourself. That's the old-fashioned way. I know that the new style,
The Amazon locker.
yeah, you know what? That's also an option too. I don't know if we have any around here or not, but I've heard those are coming. But again, it's just those things that you got to realize that if it's sitting unattended on your porch or on your front driveway, you know, it's just the chances of it being stolen obviously are dramatically raised.
You know, when the holidays are here and there's joy and there's fun, the last thing you want is to file a police report because you got ripped off.
Exactly. We want everyone to enjoy the holiday season and to keep their presents and also to stay safe on the roadway. Obviously, while it's wet, we want to make sure that everyone travels safely and has a good, safe Christmas.
we're in stealth mode right now, which means you may not be able to see us. But we're across from a liquor store, and there's a sting going on?
Well, yeah, it's one of our decoy alcohol stings where we have a minor that there's a couple of different operations that are going on. One is where the minor goes in and tries to buy alcohol, and they want to see if the establishment will card him or her. In this case, it's a her. That is one portion of the sting. The other portion is now with the kids standing outside and seeing if somebody will go in and buy alcohol for them. So right now there's one of our juvenile decoys out there is in front of this establishment, and she's going to be asking people, hey, can you buy me some beer or whatever it is, and obviously you say no, when that happens.
But if you say yes, then what? You're providing alcohol to a minor?
You're providing alcohol to a minor, right? And the decoy that we have looks very, very young. I mean, it would be one of those things where I'd be surprised if they get any takers right now, to be quite honest with you. But it's all part of the plan to make sure that people are aware that of the dangers of providing alcohol to minors. And I'll be honest with you, most of our establishments around here are pretty responsible, and they card a lot of people.
But off camera, you were mentioning there was one that has not been very good.
Right. One of our local establishments ended up getting 2 violations within a certain amount of time. I'm not sure exactly how much it was, but the ABC had closed their store or revoked their license for a 30-day period, and here it is right in the holiday period. So he's probably losing a lot of money.
Wow. Now, on this type of a situation, there's a protocol, right?
Oh yeah. Thinking about it. Now, in fact, it's funny because we're listening to them. There was a guy that
listening to the undercover detectives who are doing this operation.
Yeah, it sounded like there was a potential candidate here, but he said no. I'm sure the decoy asked him to buy the beer.
You forgot to mention the decoy is cute.
Yeah, she's very young looking, and she's very cute. But yeah, you're right. But there's nothing that they do to if they say no, that means no. They don't push it. They don't pressure it.
They don't try to influence it.
Exactly. That's exactly.
She doesn't bat her eyes.
Exactly. She just says, "Hey, can you go buy me some beer?" And they say nope. They go, "Okay, that's it." So, but if they say yes, then they give them the money, and they go ahead and buy the alcohol for it. But you had mentioned before that there are several undercover police officers around here right now that are watching and monitoring the situation, and can come in and intervene as needed.
Now, the decoy is not just a citizen; it's actually one of the police explorers.
Yep, exactly. And she has done this quite a few times. She's been used for this type of operations a couple of times. She's really good at what she does.
At being a decoy.
Yeah, exactly.
How often do the detectives do this type of an operation?
It's sporadic. I'm not sure if they have a set schedule. A lot of this stuff is paid for because it's this activity is sponsored by, or it's supported by a grant that we have through an organization that allows us to be able to do these types of things. And it's one of those things where it's like it depends on what other activities they got going on. They may utilize those funds to go out and work some overtime on these types of things.
But it all helps in trying to just prevent the underage drinking.
The end game here is to create awareness, because we want to make sure that A, that kids aren't getting sold alcohol, and B, that the businesses are doing their jobs. That's the big one. That is the one that we're really most concerned with is the businesses that are selling alcohol to minors.
But also, if you go into just buy something and a kid asks you to buy alcohol, you could be the one that gets in trouble.
You will be the one that gets the ticket, and you don't need that.
Plain and simple like that, right?
Exactly.
Well, if you have any questions about tonight's show, you can call the Buena Park Police Department at 562-3901. Check them out on the internet at bppd.com. Don't forget, Facebook and Instagram. Buena Park PD has a social media group that makes sure that you hear all the latest information just by following them. And trust me, it's pretty entertaining, especially just seeing all the things that are going on. And, you know, they've got a sense of humor and they like catching the bad guys and promoting that. With Sergeant Mike Lovchick of the Buena Park Police Department, I'm Jane Cameron. Thanks for watching.